What is up? It is week 9. This is episode 403. Of course, we're here tonight to break down all of your DFS stuff for DraftKings. We got our top plays, our values, our stacks, of course, the locks of the week, and our sit calls. So hold tight here.
Going for two, kickers are extra, I give them the boot. Ooh, going for two, sit back, relax while I grab me a brew. Ooh, now I'm reclining while putting my time and I'm ready to go. My spine is aligning and much my lineups, my bank account grow. I am so rich, but knowledge is all that I'm leaving it with. Ooh, listen to this, multiple options, how far can I get? Ooh, DFS Dynasty redraft tonight, I'm not finishing last. I'm finishing past any and all, I am looking to last. What else? This spot is popping and I am so locked in and only opening the door when it is opportunity knocking. And all of these spots keep on talking and talking. So what are we talking? What kind of alignment? And running it deep, even players forgotten or came from the bottom or hitting that top end. And this spot is popping, yeah, this spot is popping. And woo! This is the armchair, yeah. Put up your arms, yeah. Sound the alarm, yeah, yeah, yeah. Woo!
What is going on, guys, and welcome to episode 403 of the Armchair Fantasy Show. I am your host, of course, Geoff Lambert. You can follow me on Twitter at GeoffLambert77. Of course, we're here every Friday night at 10:30. We're on the Going for Two Live podcast network. Sorry, I'm trying to bring Gerson back on here for some reason. There we go. Right. Every Friday night at 10:30, we're on Facebook Live, we're on Twitter, we're on YouTube, goingfor2.com, and of course, all major podcast networks. I'm a little bit under the weather tonight, as you can tell from my voice. It's a little bit raspy, but I'm gonna push through here. Of course, I'm here with Tim and Gerson tonight. What's up, Tim? What's up, Gerson? How y'all tonight?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Coming off a good week for me.
Absolutely. And we're gonna go ahead and roll right into the weekly rewind.
This fucking guy.
Gerson made a face when I asked that question because Gerson unfortunately did not have a good week. But give us one good, one bad from your week, G.
Yeah, my one good was nothing. My one bad was everything. There you go, the end.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie. I did have the worst week of the whole season. I'm one of those people that I hate people that are tout and don't own up to their shit.
Yeah.
It annoys me. It honestly, I think it's the biggest hypocritical stuff about the industry that we live in. I will always own up to my stuff. If I give you a bad call, first off, I didn't put a gun to your head. Sorry. But I did give you advice. But I play my plays. I don't just tell you the plays to play, and then I don't go out there and play them. I didn't have a good week. Honestly, my stats, none of them did good. I had Burrow. I had Love. I had Dak. Oh, not Dak. Who was the other quarterback? Yeah, whatever. Kirk Cousins. Was it Kirk Cousins? Oh, I can't. Whatever quarterback I had, they didn't do good. Because, yeah, all I know that my week was terrible.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, the good thing about DFS is it's 1 week, right?
New week, yeah.
New week. We can start fresh. Tim, what'd you have for your one good, one bad last week?
Yeah, my one good was Tillman. I think that was really important for me. I think everybody else went with the Bucks guys. I stayed with Tillman, so that worked out really well. Like Gerson said, I'll be honest, it was my first good week in a couple weeks. So I was just happy to get back in the win column because it was a little rough there for a while. My one bad was I said on the show last week I was going to play T. Higgins if he played. He was ruled out, and I pivoted down to Waddle, which did not work out. I think any of the options in that range would have been better. So, yeah. But it still worked out for me overall.
Yeah, I had a decent week. I missed my cash lineup, but I did have some good tournament lineups that kind of made up for my miss on cash. I built a cash lineup and then didn't put my quarterback in. And when I got to the end, I was able to afford to pay for Jordan Love, so I put him in. If I had just left everything else the same and just put in Knicks and just left money on the table, I would have cashed easily. But unfortunately, I played Jordan Love. He killed me. But my one good that I had in my cash lineup and a bunch of my tournaments, I had Devon Achane, who I said on the show, he had 7 targets in week 1 and week 2 with Tua at quarterback. He had 8 targets this last week. He just gets targeted a ton when Tua is the quarterback. He's a great play even again this week. My one bad was my lock of the week. I had AJ Brown. I needed Devonta Smith, who I should have had in my lineups, or Jalen Hurts, because he had all the touchdowns. Really, he had 3 rushing touchdowns in that game. So AJ Brown got hurt by that a little bit, but he was my one bad, and he unfortunately made it into my cash lineup as well. All right, without further ado, let's just jump into the quarterbacks.
Let's talk quarterbacks.
All right, Tim, why don't you kick us off here at the top?
Well, I'm going right back to the guy that vultured your touchdowns last week, man. I'm going back to Jalen Hurts. He would have been the number one quarterback. I think he was the number one quarterback last week, but he was so expensive it didn't matter because Bo Nix and Jameis went absolutely off. But I'm going back to Hurts. He gets a great matchup against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think he's going to have to throw in this game. And sneaky tease for later, I'm going right back to your lock of the week from last week. That stack I will be all over this week.
Yeah, I love Hurts this week as well. I have him in my lineup. I think he had 3 rushing touchdowns last week?
3 rushing touchdowns.
Yeah.
Yep. And then the long one to Devontae. So
Smith, yep. Gerson, what about you? What do you have for your favorite quarterback play here?
So I had Jalen as well, but I think I'm going back to the guy that I feel like everybody just hates him. There's only one quarterback that gets hated more than him, and that's Aaron Rodgers. But Dak Prescott, man. The matchup is there. I think it's more the game environment that I want to target. I think this game's going to shoot out. And the other thing that shocked me was his ownership. I thought it was going to be so much higher, but it's not. I don't know exactly what it's coming out at on the website. I don't know. We don't get sponsored by them, so I'm not going to mention them. But but yeah, I think this game's going to be high pace. Dallas versus Atlanta. Dak Prescott, I think in the second half last week, he kind of realized, like, dude, I just got to sling it. I got to stop being a little, I don't know, fake ass Dak Prescott. I don't know, whatever he wants to be. But the in-flight total is what got me interested. Almost 25 points, So Dallas score. His salary is amazing too. $6,300. That's kind of what I want. That's kind of the mid-tier price range. And then when you have the best wide receiver, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL, I guess you can say, it doesn't hurt. But I just think this is the game you're going to want to target. The matchup is there for me. To me, personally, I feel like this could be a game where we get screwed too. There's always one game every week we want to target, but this game, I don't see it, man. Like it's like that game. It could be, but it couldn't be. It's like it's like that quote from Hustle and Flow. When I think I'm wrong, I could be right. But when I'm right, I could be wrong. But I know I'm right. But I just hope this game goes off. I'm gonna have a ton of exposure to this game, and if it fails, I'm gonna be doomed. And you guys are gonna see me again with the one good, one bad again next week.
All right, so I'll take the one quarterback that y'all hadn't taken that I like this week, and that's Jaden Daniels at the New York Giants at 7.5. Obviously has the rushing upside. He's another week removed from that rib injury. He looked plenty fine last week. I know he struggled a little bit early on. Obviously hit that Hail Mary pass, which helped out a lot of people with their.
That was amazing. That was amazing.
They haven't stopped talking about that on radio locally.
I bet not.
Hey, but yeah, so Jaden Daniels 7.5. I think the last time they played, they didn't score a touchdown. They had like 7 field goals.
Yes.
So I think if he could turn those field goals into touchdowns in this game, I think he'll be much better. So at 7.5, I think he's projected to be the third highest as far as point total. Only Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts are projected higher than him. So at 7.5, I do like Jaden Daniels a lot this week. Let's move down into the value tier, Tim, and it's not as juicy as it was last week, I don't think. What do you
Well, I don't want to skip over Kirko because me and Gerson both had him. So we already talked about how much we like that game environment. I like Dak, but I feel like he's let me down too many times. So I'm probably going to be stacking up the Kirk side and then just get some pieces from Dallas.
Yeah, good call. I actually mixed over Kirk. You're right. Kirk's one of the popular plays too.
Dude, that Dallas defense is horrible. That Dallas defense is trash. Like Trajan Diggs, congratulations, you made it to the going for 2 rant. Dude, you are freaking trash. Going after a reporter for doing his job. Like I think a couple weeks ago we talked about Jerry Jones. It felt like the Cowboys are just a bunch of sore losers, man.
Yeah. it's pretty bad there right now for sure. All right, now let's move down into the value tier. Tim, who you got for your value?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm a glutton for punishment a little bit because I'm gonna take Carr coming off the injury, man. He's back. All indications are he's 100% to go. And we saw in week 1, yeah, I'm gonna be drinking like Gerson on Sunday if I play Carr because, yeah. But it's the Panthers, man. They are giving up 33 points a game. Obviously, everybody is going to play the running back in that game. Spoiler alert, but like. The passing is where it's at least for tournaments, I think. I mean, they scored what 40 some points in the first game. Like, he doesn't have Shaheed, right? I think that's going to hurt him a little bit, but the Panthers can't stop absolutely anybody. Last week we saw they gave Bo Nix, GPP winning score. So why can't Carr do it in his first game back?
Yeah, good call. Gerson, you're going back to the guy eating W's, Jameis Winston.
Yeah. I mean, apparently he's the next TED Talk of the world, man. Like, he just comes out and gives you a TED Talk every single time he's on the camera, man.
That needs to be a little bit more like Jameis, honestly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, but I don't think people would take that serious. So they're like, all right, well, we know Jameis is this guy, but when we see Dak being that guy, we'll be like, what? No, but no, it's serious, Winston. I almost, dude, I don't know. So last week I was all worried, like, can I put my money on this guy? I told Geoff before the show. Yeah, man, I didn't go to Jameis Winston or Bo Nix because I was like, I'm over here telling him my back's hurt. I'm going tomorrow to a chiropractic, and then I'm gonna get a Deshaun Watson massage and like get loose up in my back and all that. But I'm like, dude, I didn't know if I want to put my money on Jameis or Bo Nix. My hard-earned money. I think this week I am gonna put my hard-earned money on Jameis, man. Yeah, he's gonna throw a couple of turnovers. Yeah, he might fumble the ball, but I guarantee you this: in this game, he's gonna be playing the best Jameis football ever. That's called garbage time, I get it. They're gonna get probably blown out, but I don't think Cleveland Browns defense is as bad as people make it out to be. I think they're getting healthier. They actually lost. I don't know if they lost Enzo Ward, but I do know it's kind of crazy to hear that they said that he had like his 7th concussion of his life.
Oof.
That's pretty scary, man. That kind of tells me, dude, you just got to stop playing football, man. But Jameis Winston. We saw Cedric Tillman go out there and do tremendous. Obviously, hit value for like what 10x basically. Yeah. I don't know what it was for, but. And then we got David and Yoku out there. Nick Chubb didn't look too bad. I think Nick Chubb's going to get the ball rolling. Their offense is going to be a little better. But again, the Chargers' defense is very, very, very good. But they are probably going to get ahead. It is going to be a slow-paced game. But if Jameis can get me 18, 17 points, I'll be very happy. Again, this is not like a game you want to stack like no other. But I think there's areas I want to stack, especially with the value wide receiver on the Chargers, who we'll speak of later. And honestly, there's 2 value running backs that I don't know if, like, unless you're doing the stud wide receivers and then stacking this game with those running backs, then yeah, it might be a spot where you want to play Jameis.
Yeah, I like it. So I have Daniel Jones from that same game, or I have Jaden Daniels as well. Jones is 5.2. Obviously, he has a little bit of rushing upside, and he loves to play Washington for some reason. He's scoring 19.5 points per game versus Washington compared to 15 against the rest of the league. He had 18.3 against them in week 2. At 5.2, he is the cheapest, I think, playable quarterback on the slate.
Yeah.
If you're looking to pay down at quarterback, I think Jones is the way to go here in a game that should have a little bit of scoring in there. So I like him at 5.2. I think he's one of the higher owned values.
Sure.
Tim, you have 2 guys, one with question marks and one guy you're not playing.
Yeah, so going into today, I don't think there was a lot of value on this slate. Today obviously changed a lot. You guys heard me say it many times on this show. It's why I'm so happy we do a Friday night show, because we give out the most relevant information. I saw a lot of optimals having Gardner Minshew going into today, and that scared the shit out of me. I'm very happy that I can officially remove Gardner Minshew from my player pool. But the one guy I X'd out from day number 1 was Bo Nix. On this show last week, I told y'all he was my optimal quarterback. Much like Gerson, I ended up going away from him because I was scared. This week, I also see he's very popular. I am recommending a full fade on Bo Nix this week. We saw the best week he was going to have last week. This week, he's going to give you like 14 points again. So that's not going to get you for cash games. That's not going to get you for GPP. Like he said, play Jameis, play Jones, play literally anybody but Bo Nix.
Yeah, I like it. All right, let's go ahead and get to the tight ends.
Did somebody say tight ends?
All right, Gerson, kick us off here at the top with the tight ends.
I have a question. On the Daniel Jones thing, didn't his offensive tackle get hurt?
Yes, I believe his left tackle is hurt.
And he's out for the season, right?
I haven't heard he's out for the season. I know he's out for at least a couple games for sure, but I haven't heard.
Okay. Yeah.
Just,
if you didn't think Daniel Jones could throw before, just be careful, you know. But I do like the Daniel Jones call. So tight ends, right? Is that what we said?
Yep, tight ends.
Awesome. Someone say tight end. Oh yeah, I'm going back to Brock Bowers. What do you know? Like 4 weeks in a row for me. I'm hitting. I'm being consistent here. Yeah, I mean, we mentioned. Were we interested in Minshew? Okay. Are we interested in the game driver? Hell yeah. If you know one thing, the Raiders defense sucks. It's like bad. It's horrible. Because here's the thing. I don't think the Raiders defense is like horrible. I just think the Raiders offense put them to be horrible. Yeah. So the turnovers and all that, like they give touchdown opportunity. I mean, last week the Raiders were in the game with the Chiefs all the way to the fourth quarter, you know, and then all of a sudden that happened. They lost, obviously. But this week, Cincinnati Bengals have a 27-point implied total, so the Raiders are going to be playing catch up. And what's the best player on the field for the Raiders? It's Brock Bowers, obviously. If your name's not Matt Crosby, you're not the best player on the team. It's definitely next guy up is Brock Bowers. The guy is tremendous. I mean, he gets everything you want on a tight end: target, usage, and basically he's going to get the red zone usage too. Yeah. But his price is still $6,000. Like I've always told people, sometimes we kind of get the whole tight end and wide receiver position like kind of like, oh, well, he's a tight end. That's expensive, you know? Okay. He's $6,000. If you put him PPR point, I don't know exactly what it's at, point per game, but I guarantee you he's probably in the top 24 for wide receiver. I know that for a fact because I played Dynasty. So, and fantasy football too. But Brock Bowers, again, I'm going back to him, 6,000, you know, maybe put him in a double tight end roster, but there's a lot of value this week. I mean, we'll talk about it though. We'll talk about it. Yeah. Give me Bowers, man.
Bowers is pretty much playable every week. I think in that 6K range for sure.
Yeah.
He's like for sure.
Yeah. Even though he's the most expensive tight end on the slate, he rates out as the second best value for me.
Yep.
Which is just kind of crazy. It shows like the volume that he's getting.
Tim, who you got in your favorite plays here?
Yeah, so we talked about Jameis. I'm going back to Njoku. He was my second highest owned tight end last week. I think I said on this show, play Cade Otton. The cheap chalk tight end has paid off every week. It paid off again. Unfortunately, the lineups I didn't play him. I played Njoku. He did okay. But I think that's how they're going to move the ball against the Chargers. Chargers are really good against wide receivers. They're not quite as good against tight ends. I think this is going to be one of those 14 target games for him. He's going to be a little $500 cheaper than Brock Bowers. Probably will come in at a little lower ownership. So I'm going to go, especially in my Jameis stacks, right back to Njoku.
Yeah.
Oh, I take it back. He's actually the highest owned, so I take that back.
I like that call. I have Jake Ferguson, who continues to get tons of volume, but the poor guy cannot find the touchdown whatsoever. He had 8 targets last week, 4 the week before, 7 before that, had 11 in week 3, but just cannot find the end zone. I think this is the week that changes against Atlanta at 5.1. We always say with tight ends, you just want to get the volume, right? We just want the volume. If they get the touchdown, great. But if we can get that volume, we want to play him, especially a tight end like Jake Ferguson, who we know can score touchdowns. He did it last year, so I like Jake a lot this week.
On Jake Ferguson, I do want to say this: The media, I've heard this in multiple podcasts. I've heard this on multiple ESPN shows and whatnot and all this. The narrative is out there. They keep saying to Dak Prescott, stop throwing your damn tight end on just 1 yard route. Like, I think it's going to go out there and they're going to be like, all right, Ferguson, let's just have you do a post this time, you know? But the other thing is they've been saying, Dak, you need to roll out and, like, scramble and look for a guy. And when a quarterback scramble and looks for a guy, it's usually that tight end that's on a hot route. So I love that call, dude.
Yeah. All right. Let's see. We also have Evan Ingram. You both have Evan Ingram. So why don't you talk about him a little bit, Tim?
Yeah, I mean, he's just the last guy left, right? Like, he's going to soak up all the targets there. I don't think Brian Thomas is going to play. Gabe Davis is not going to play. Christian Kirk is out for the year. And I think I had the note here, Philly is a slot funnel. Evan Ingram runs over 50% of his routes from the slot when Christian Kirk is out.
Yep.
So, I mean, it's a matchup play for me. I also, like I mentioned, I think those other guys around him are going to be more popular.
Yeah, when Christian Kirk was out at the end of last year, Ingram was like a league winner in fantasy football.
Right.
Balled out last year. So if we see that kind of production again.
Yeah, I think the thing for me is that people are going to see that tight end matchup rating and be like, oh, Philly is good to tight ends. I shouldn't play Evan Ingram. He's not playing as a tight end in this offense right now.
Yep, agreed. We'll move down into the value tier, and I'll kick it off here with another guy that's getting a ton of targets, just hasn't got the production yet, and that's Hunter Henry at Tennessee at 3.9. He has 20 targets over the last 3 games. Hasn't done much with them, but it's one of those things where you're getting a tight end with the volume, and you hope that he falls into the end zone at least once. So Hunter Henry is my value tight end at 3.9. Gerson, what do you got for your value?
Yeah, I'm going to Johnny Smith, man. I think Johnny is one of the most underrated tight end guys. I think last time I talked to him, I said the same thing. He's uber athletic. He's fast. He can move. He actually lines up at running back sometimes. That's the kind of crazy part too. So like when you see, I remember Scott Hanson. That his name Scott Hanson, the red zone guy. He goes, yeah, that is the. He said, that is Johnny Smith in the backfield, guys. I was like, yeah, well. But I just think 3.5K is very cheap, especially with an offense like that. The thing is, I was kind of like shocked at the total. You have a 27-point implied total for the Buffalo Bills, and then you have a 21-point implied total for the Dolphins. Obviously, that game's not being talked about a lot, especially after last week, which was kind of shocking because last week we were all over the Dolphin underprice, right? This week it kind of feels like you're kind of going like this.
Yeah.
You're kind of hiding behind it, But I'm not going to hide behind it, man. I'm going for Johnny Smith, 3.5K. I think it's going to be, and I'm telling you right now, if you're going to be a value player, I have long ownership too. I'm not going to, my highest owned tight ends are going to be Ingram and Yoku and probably Ferguson. I'll have some Bowers and some Janu, but those 3 guys the Ferguson, and Yoku and Ingram, I'm telling you right now, Ingram and then Yoku for the rest of the season, we're going to be talking about them every week, week in and week out.
Yep. Agreed. Tim, you have one guy that I called out last week, and I said it was the LaPorta breakout week, and it happened.
You did.
This week.
Yeah, it's the same thing, man. And we talked about, we'll talk about it with another player. We said with Evan Ingram, right? Like the tight end role changes when one of the wide receivers goes out. Jameson Williams goes out, and then they're like, okay, let's give some more volume to Sam LaPorta, right? And on top of that, we call it the flow chart play, right? Shout out Ryan MC, right? They have given up 6 top tight end performances in 8 games. It's a good matchup play, and price is great too, 4,800, right? Like Sam LaPorta in this spot last year would have been $6,000 easy, right? And you're getting him at 4,800. I don't think that the price has caught up to the role change with Jameson Williams leaving, so I'm going right back to LaPorta.
Yeah.
Are you guys not worried about the
rain,
like the passing volume that they've been doing?
The fact that they don't have a claim.
Yeah, like that's what my biggest worry about any Lions player right now on the offense.
Last
I
week
know
was matchup
great.
Yeah, I think last week was just because it was Tennessee. They only threw it 15 times because it was Tennessee. But the week before that, 25 times. I think if he gets 6 targets, like that's really what I'm looking for.
Yeah. And I think it's those end zone targets too that you really want at 4 points.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, let's get to the running back position.
It's time for running backs. Running backs.
All right, we'll let Tim kick off here, the running back, since me and both have our locks here in the running back spot.
Yeah. Well, how about I take the guy that was my lock until I changed it, Devon Achane. He is probably my favorite running back play on the slate. He averages 19 points per game in games with Tua. He averages 24 points per game in his 3 games against Buffalo. Buffalo gives up the most receiving yards to running backs. He's basically the wide receiver 2 for that team at this point, and he's getting 10 to 12 touches on top of that. Like, to me, this is just a scheme fit, matchup fit, DVP fit, like, BVP fit, whatever you want to call it, man. It's just play Achane and move on.
Yeah, I think in week 2, the Dolphins only scored 10 points, but the Devon Achane had 29.5 fantasy points. And they only scored 10 points the whole game. So the fact that he was getting that crazy amount of usage, it goes to show you how good of a play he is. So against Buffalo, I love him too. So that's a really good play. All right, we'll get to the
Lock it in.
All right, Gerson, give us your lock.
No, go with your lock first, Geoff. You guys, you get the moment, dude. Go ahead. Go ahead.
All right, I will take. So this guy has got the matchup that the team he's playing against is dead last in DVP, second to the last in DVOA, 29th versus the running back in the passing game. There's no backup running back. Jamal Williams is doubtful. Kendrick Miller is out. Of course, that's Alvin Kamara at Carolina at 7.8. It's going to be a super popular play. I assume Taysom Hill will be the backup running back in this game because they don't have anybody else on the roster currently. My guess is they'll probably, promote someone from the practice squad on Sunday that'll be there just in case. But Alvin Kamara is going to get a humongous workload in this offense at 7.8 against the, basically the worst defense in the NFL. Hard to pass that up. Be in all cash lineups. He's probably the first piece I'm going to plug in and then build around him from there. So yeah, I love me Alvin Kamara this week. All right, let me give Gerson his drop now.
Lock it in.
I just love that we always just target the Panthers. Like we just be on them like a drum.
Flowchart, baby.
Yeah, baby. So this week, it just opened up today. Last week, Zach Moss won't play. He's not playing. He's out. But then there was doubtful for T. Higgins. Yeah, he's out too. But it's against the Raiders. I mean, the Raiders ranked 31st in pressure rate. With that being said, that means that usually it'll be pretty much freed up for the running back to get catches, And he's averaging about 3 catches a game. And without Zach Moss, I see that going up more.
Yep.
The other thing is, so I found very interesting, and this is pretty cool. Brown also has 5 touchdowns on 94 touches this season. That's about every 18.8 touches. For comparison, Kyron Williams has a touchdown every 15.8 touches. And we know Kyron Williams is the touchdown guy. You always just want to lock him in with I guarantee if you were to put $100 every week with Kyron Williams and Derrick Henry, you would at least be pretty damn profitable this year. But then the other thing I looked at, Joe Mixon has a touchdown every 19.3 touches. Saquon Barkley has a touchdown every 24.5 touches. So we're looking at Chase Brown at 5.9K.
Yeah.
At 18.8 touches. If he gets 18.8 touches and he gets a touchdown, you're already meeting value. Because at 18.8 touches, I guarantee you he has reception, he has yards, and he has a touchdown. It's going to equal out to his value. I was pretty happy when I saw this because I'm one of the biggest Chase Brown touts. I think Chase Brown is electric. He's fast. He's very good. I mean, and I'm a Utah fan, so I love Zach Moss. In case nobody knew, apparently nobody knew actually. Zach Moss is from the University of Utah. But Chase Brown, he's just so much fun. Like when he actually gets the ball, he shoots like the lightning. I think I said it before. He's like Flash. But give me Chase Brown at 5.9K. There's only one other running back that I like in the value tier, and hopefully
We'll talk about him too.
Yeah, we will.
Tim, you got a couple more guys in your favorites there. Go ahead and mention one of them.
Yeah, so before I do, I want to give a little PSA. So we've had 8 weeks of the season. 5 weeks, the chalk running back, number one big chalk running back, has failed. And pivoting off that guy has won people milli makers. Okay. Last week, everybody was like, oh, you got to play Breece Hall. It's got to be Breece Hall. He's the first guy in your lineup. Breece Hall failed. If you looked at the guy who won the milli maker, he basically had a cash lineup, but he played James Cook and Jahmyr Gibbs. And so I think the key to DFS right now is to basically just, if in tournaments, X out the chalky running backs and then find a pivot at the same price, right? So I think everybody is going to be playing Alvin Kamara. So I am going to
Jeff, boo that man, Jeff, boo that man.
No. So I agree. Alvin Kamara is an amazing play, but he's going to be 35% owned in tournaments. Okay, the biggest leverage you could possibly get on this slate is playing somebody else in tournaments. Okay, so yes, he's an amazing play, but Kyren, in my opinion, is just as good of a play at $200 more, and he's going to have way less ownership, right? So yes, I'm going to be playing a lot of Kyren in tournaments. I think he's probably the first guy that I'm going to go to in lineups I'm pivoting off of Kamara. As I mentioned earlier, I'm going to be playing Carr. I'm going to be playing Olave to get off that chalk, and then, probably playing Kyren instead. So it's probably going to burn me, right? Kamara's going to have that 40-point slate-breaking game, and I'm going to be face-palming it next week. But I'm going to try.
Bro, it's not Thanksgiving or Christmas, whatever day you fucking did it on. You're good, dude.
Yeah, that's right. No red and green cleats. Good to go.
Yep, love it. So let's see. I'll go next here. I got the other value guy. So I have him actually as my favorite play. I didn't put him in the value column because I actually liked him a lot. And that's Tyrone Tracy versus Washington at 5.5. Singletary has basically become second fiddle. He's not even second fiddle. He only got work last week because Tyrone Tracy got hurt and came out of the game, and they put Singletary in. But Tracy is playing, I think, 70% or 65% of the snaps. He's getting the passing down work. He's a converted wide receiver, so he can run routes. At 5.5 in this game, I love me some Tyrone Tracy. It's also a soft spot in my heart because I've got him in a lot of my dynasty leagues.
I bet you do.
I picked him up a few of them undrafted, and he's crushing it for me. So Tyrone Tracy is one of my favorite plays this week as well. You couple him with Chase Brown, and you can do a lot of things with your lineup.
You can do a lot. Yep, that's all I was trying to say there.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go back through. We still got some good guys to talk about here. Let's go to you, Gerson. Talk about Bijan Robinson.
Yeah, for sure.
Popular.
I feel like there's been like four weeks in a row that I talk about Bijan and Brock Bowers. So we're going to keep the trend going, man. The Dallas Cowboys. No Michael Parsons. I don't know if Dexter Lawrence. What is it? Dexter Lawrence? What's his name? What's his name?
Lawrence.
DeMarcus Lawrence. I don't know if he's playing, but either way, it doesn't matter who's playing on the Cowboys defense. They can't stop anything. I mean, good God, I think this is the worst Cowboys defense we've seen in probably 5 to 6 years. Yeah, I mean, this is pretty bad.
As soon as they brought in Mike Zimmer, y'all, I called this. Mike Zimmer is a terrible defensive coordinator. All he does is try and keep the ball in front of him, and it never works out. It didn't work out in Minnesota. It's not going to work out in Dallas. Sorry.
Whoa, Tim. You need to calm down, dude.
True.
My friend Jared said that coaching doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, he also ran Mike Zimmer out of town, so.
Yeah. So, I mean, Mike Zimmer is just a terrible defense coordinator. That's the truth. But I'm going back to him, and like, it's just kind of tough. Sometimes, like, people, like, they expect Bijan Robinson to get like a 30-point game, right? Like a 28-point game. And if he doesn't get that, they're like, oh, I don't want to play that guy. Dude, he's 7.4K. He's going to break out for a big game sooner or later. And if it happens in this game, I'm not going to be shocked. Especially a game where they're going to have to use him in every way possible. Because the Dallas Cowboys are going to be able to score. And, well, hopefully, I mean, if Dak pulled his head out of his ass, but Bijan 7.4K. I'm still shocked that he's at the 7-point K range,
Yeah.
I think I believe, if I'm correct, he is a top 5 in points per game at running back right now. So I'm still going to go to him. I'm going to go back to him. And the ownership is not as high as, I believe the last time I checked, it was the top 5.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah, it's number 3 right now at 19. But that's the thing, though. The biggest differential, you go from Alvin Kamara, Chase Brown, 31 to 25. And I'm telling you right now, like, we didn't mention this about Tyrone Tracy, but Tyrone Tracy, by Sunday, I guarantee you he's going to be top 3 for sure. So you're going to have Bijan at what, probably like 17, 15%. So I'm going to go with Bijan, man. I'm going to roll in that game. Again, I feel like I keep talking about that game, and I'm going to keep talking about it, too.
Can I add one thing to that?
Go ahead.
Cowboys give up 10.9 targets per game to running backs. They're not throwing the ball to Tyler Algier.
Yeah.
They're not throwing it to Tyler Algier, okay? Those 10 targets are going to one Bijan Robinson.
Yeah. All right. I just want to mention the last few guys we had. I have DeAndre Swift, who's going to be pretty highly owned. He's got 16 plus carries in the last 4 games. He's playing 70% of the snaps. I think he's finally found a home with the Bears there. So you get Arizona. And then Tim has.
I hope so. They paid for him.
Yeah.
He was the first running back that got signed. He's the first free agent that got signed.
Yeah. They signed him immediately. And then Tim has both running backs, Sonic and Knuckles, as he's calling them. Jameer.
I do. So 2 things I think you have to keep an eye on going into Sunday. One, does Jordan Love play? All right, he got a limited practice in today. It looks like he's going to play. If for whatever reason it ends up being Malik Willis, it's going to be Lions by 30. Okay, so you can play both running backs. The other thing to keep an eye on, it may storm in Green Bay on Sunday. If it storms, I think they're going to take the ball completely out of Jared Goff's hands and they're going to run the ball 40 times. So keep an eye on the weather.
I don't go that deep into my research to look at the weather. Damn.
Yeah, I usually don't talk about weather on Friday, but it's all they've talked about. It has rained all week long in Green Bay.
Yeah.
So just we don't ever talk about weather because it usually doesn't matter. But I know Dan Campbell well enough that if this game is raining, he's gonna be like, "Yeah, Goff, you're not gonna lose this game for us. We're gonna do the same."
Like, I got Kevin Ross on my clock.
You do. You need to have him on speed dial on Sunday morning for sure.
For sure. All right, let's get to the wide receivers.
And now, wide receivers.
All right, Gerson, why don't you go first here?
Sorry, dude. I just finished this beer and I didn't even open another beer for this wide receiver section.
There you go.
Oh boy, where do we start, man? I told Geoff before the show, there is so many wide receiver plays that it's hard to bunch them all in.
Yes.
I mean, I'm gonna talk about it because I guarantee you everybody's gonna talk about it. But CD Lamb, 8.8K. I think he's gonna be. I know there's Alvin Kamara, 7,800. You know, like he is the smash player of the game. Like I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Like everybody want to play him, lock him in. But I honestly think it's gonna be CD Lamb.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm going back to 36.6 target rate, 41.2 air yard share, 44% first read target rate. The guy gets everything you want. And before last week, we were kind of saying, when is he going to break out? When is he going to break out? Well, maybe he already broke out, but you haven't seen the fantasy point. Last week you saw what? I think he was the highest point wide receiver at 39 points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we stopped defending him. We left him wide open for wide open touchdowns last week. I don't know what the hell we were doing.
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing, but I was happy. I was happy about it. I won a lot of money on Prize Pick because of that.
Yeah.
But dude, just get it to Alvin Kamara. It's 1,000 cheaper.
Yep.
But again, everybody's gonna want to play him. Wide receiver. If I'm gonna go a double, what do you call it? A double value with Tracy and Chase.
Yep.
I'm going to CD Lamb as my guy. I don't care what stack, whatever I'm doing. CD Lamb I'm gonna lock him in. I'm gonna have so much exposure to CD Lamb, like, well, I might have to change my underwear twice before the first half or the second half if he doesn't hit. But game environment. We keep talking about this game, but again, like I said at the beginning of the show, this could be the game that, oh my goodness, we thought it was going to be it. But there's always a game like that. Always a game like that. But CD Lamb is the reason why I say, oh my goodness, this game is going to hit, you know? This guy pretty much, he kind of tired of it. Like you saw his frustration on the sideline before, not last week, but the week before that. He's like, dude, I was wide open. Give me this. And like, this guy just wants to take over. Like he knows he got paid. He's not lazy. He knows he got paid. He's got to put his money where his mouth money where his mouth is worth. Right? How'd it go? What's the quote?
You said that right. I mean, where's Mount?
But yeah, give me CD Lamb. I think he's gonna be my what do you call it? I don't know, smash player of the week.
Yeah,
I like it. I'll go next, and then we'll get to your lock, Tim. I'm going with Malik Neighbors. Going back to that Washington.
absolutely.
Neighbors in his first game against Washington had 18 targets. That is a ridiculous amount of targets. I don't think he gets 8 this game, but if we can get 10 or 12, I'll be more than happy against this Washington defense, who looked better last week against the Bears. But I think that the Neighbors and Daniel Jones are going to find a way to get some targets. So I think at 7.5, I like Malik Neighbors this week.
That's good.
All right, let's get to Tim's
lock it in.
All right, so I want to preface this by saying that I had Devon Achane and I changed it. No, it's Drake London, man. Last week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers made a concerted effort to take him out of the game. They play a lot of zone defense, so that was easier to do. Cowboys, though, play a lot more man, and we talked about the walking trash can that is Trayvon Diggs. I expect him to be on Drake London, and I expect him to get absolutely routed up this week. 6,700 is just too cheap, right? He came off one bad week, and they were like, you know what? Let's drop him below 7K. And at this point, he rates out as one of my highest point per dollar wide receivers. So, I mean, it's just like we talked about, best game environment of the weekend. He's at home where he's always traditionally been better, good defensive matchup, and I think he's too cheap. So for me, it's an absolute lock.
I love it.
He will probably be the most highest owned wide receiver, but I really don't care. I'll get different everywhere else.
I like it at 6.7 for sure. That's a really good play. G, let's go back to you. What other receivers you got here as your favorites?
Man, so Scott is in the chat. I don't know if you know this, but we're about to be Cowboys fan this weekend. So we got you, Scott.
I know.
So we covered Neighbors, Neighbors, CD Lamb, and London. But I think one guy that we need to cover is Olave, 6.1K, very cheap. I can't remember the last time Olave was 6.1K. And now you get Derek Carr back, and they don't have Rashid Shaheed. Tight end garbage, to be honest. Yep. You really don't have any other weapon as a wide receiver. The whole Bubba Amin, is that his name?
Yeah.
That hype is dead. You know, he's not a thing. And yeah, we're facing the Carolina Panthers, dude. Like, they just traded away their best. Their best player on the team. Yeah. Right? Like, is there another better player on the Carolina Panthers than Deontay Johnson?
No, not anymore.
Isn't it? Best one, but he's not near in Deontay Johnson's range.
Yeah, but so now we got Chris Olave at 6.1K. He is gonna be highly owned though. He is highly owned. That's one of the wide receivers that's gonna be cheap. Yeah. It's gonna be that mid-tier wide receiver you want to pay up for sure. But give me Olave, and you know for sure that Derek Carr loves Olave. I mean, if you go look at their history, it just makes you money, man. It makes you print money. And again, so if you do Olave, and then you do the double running back cheap, you can probably fit in the whole stack.
Yeah, I like it. Tim, we still got some guys to talk about here. Talk about another one.
Yeah, I teased this at the top of the show, man. Jalen Hurts to A.J. Brown. Jaguars played man at the second highest rate in the league. A.J. Brown has a 50% first read target share against man coverage. Absolutely insane stat, number one in the league. I know he had a bad week last week, or he let some people down. What did it say? Take the stud off the dud. And so I'm going right back to A.J. Brown this week.
I love that.
I like it. And we got he's the number one matchup this week too on
FT. Yes, I was hoping you'd tell me that, Jeff.
got the
Lock it in. I'm changing my
we need
lock
a
right
drop
now.
for that. We need like best
We
matchup
do.
drop.
Yeah, the going for two matchup of the week.
There you go. I like it. I like it.
All right, just cut that out and put it in.
No, use that, please.
I'm gonna go right back to that Giants game again. I'm gonna take Terry McLaurin. He's got the third best matchup per FTN, and if I'm playing Jaden Daniels, there's not a lot that I'm gonna be doing, as far as stacking other than McLaurin. I think it's McLaurin or you play Zach Ertz, and at 7.1, I think he's still too cheap. The Giants defense has not been good, at least not on the secondary side of things. So at 7.1, I like McLaurin a lot. I'm just going to mention a couple of the other guys that we have. We have Cooper Kupp on there. I like JSN again with no DK Metcalf. Jamar Chase is on the list as well. Another guy that's going to be pretty popular. Let's move down into the value tier. And Tim, kick us off here with the value.
Yeah, I'm going to take the one guy neither one of y'all had coming off one of his probably best games of the season. That's Cortland Sutton. I mentioned I'm not real big on Bo Nix this week, but I do expect him to have to throw the ball 30 plus times. So he's going to be, in my opinion, probably the lowest owned in that 5K range. There's two other guys I think are going to be a lot more popular. And so give me the lower ownership, man. It's the best matchup for wide receivers. They give up the most passing yards in the league. So
I like it. Gerson, what do you got for your value wide receiver here?
Yeah, man. I can't play Cortland Sutton. I'm good. I mean, I get the call, but oh man, that guy, he burned me so many times when he's a value wide receiver. Yeah. So
I know 2 weeks ago he put up a 0. Like, I get it. Trust me.
Yeah.
Hey man, that was the week you were supposed to play him too. That's the thing. You're like, oh yeah. But I think that was a primetime game, though. I believe so. I'm talking showdown here. Because I'm a degenerate, guys. I gamble my money away on Monday, Thursday, Sunday morning in London, and then the Sunday main slate for DraftKings. Guys, I'm just letting you know I got a problem. I'm just kidding. No,
1-800 gambling.
1-800 gambling, huh? Hey, at least they say in their advertising. That's pretty cool. So Cedric Tillman. We talked about Jameis. His favorite target was apparently Cedric Tillman. And we said it last week. I mean, this guy's a big body wide receiver. He's athletic. Like, I honestly think that a lot of people don't know this, but he played for the Tennessee Volunteer or Tennessee. What Tennessee Volunteer? What do you call them?
You're right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tennessee Volunteers. Jalen Hyatt was the show, but Cedric Tillman was the guy. Like, he was the best wide receiver out there. Jalen Hyatt is now like second, third, fourth fiddle to Wan'Dale Robinson, Malik Neighbors, and Darius Slayton. So
exactly.
So Cedric Tillman was the guy, and then I was kind of shocked that his price only went up $1,000. I think I don't even know if he was he 3.3K last week.
He was, yeah. It went up $1,000.
Right, so $1,000. It went up one more. And I'm like, damn, that's not bad. I'll take that. I'll still give him that. I mean, the guy legit had over 100 yards until DraftKings decided to be like, you know what? We knew Tim had him at the value, so we're gonna go and drop him 4 points off. All right. Yeah. Guess what? You got 99 yards, not 100 yards, but he still got his target, and he's still gonna get his target. Like, again, Chargers they are a tough defense, but Jameis is just gonna swing it. He doesn't care if he gets intercepted. He doesn't care. He really doesn't care about anything. He had nothing to lose. The guy is just winning at life. But Tillman, 4.3K.
Somebody said he's Joe Flacco at the end of last year, and I think that's the perfect comparison.
Yeah.
Like, he's just out there getting everything he can while he can.
Flinging it all over the field, doesn't care.
Well, Joe Flacco won a Super Bowl. I don't think Jameis won.
No.
I mean, old man Flacco, obviously.
Yeah. But I get your point. So Cedric Tillman, to me, he's my second favorite value, though. He's not my first.
All right, I'll go next here, and I just saw Jamie show up in the chat, so I'm going to pivot who I was going to talk about and talk about this other guy. because I know Jamie is giving me shit all year about this guy because I was huge on him in Dynasty. I own him in a bunch of my leagues. But Keon Coleman, over the last 2 weeks, has averaged 17 fantasy points per game. Ever since Amari Cooper got into town,
Yes.
playing more of his natural role. He's a very physical receiver. If you watched the game last week, he was getting very physical with those receivers. Made an amazing touchdown catch with one hand. He also has the best of the three receivers in Buffalo. Got the best matchup against the best, the worst cornerback in that group. At 5.4, I like Keon Coleman a lot, and I think that he's going to continue to grow in this offense. I think he's a receiver 7 over the last 2 weeks at 17 points per game. So Keon Coleman is my guy this week that I'll be playing. That probably doesn't get much ownership. He's being overlooked, but I like him a lot this week. Tim, give us one more value guy here before we move on to.
Oh, you're not going to make me take Lad McConkey. Gerson, that's got to be your guy you're talking about. That's got to be your number one value, right?
Yeah, man, Lad McConkey. I love the guy because, I think he's that wide receiver this year in Dynasty where you're like, oh man, I hope he follows me. I hope he follows me. Oh man, Lad McConkey. This guy is a dog, and I'm not saying that because he's a Georgia Bulldog guy, but honestly, the guy gets peppered with target, and I think within the last two. Okay, guys, the J.K. Dobbins fairy tale. Good job. Good job. It worked out for 4 weeks, 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Guess what? J.K. Dobbins is inefficient. He is inefficient. In the last 3 weeks, they have picked up the passing volume in that offense. Maybe Harbaugh's like, oh, well, the NFL might be a little different now. Yeah, it might be a little different, It is a little different. He's going to have to pass the ball a lot more. Cleveland Brown defense, like I told you, we got to look out for the news on Denzel Ward. If he's out, I'm going to have a lot of Lad McConkey. And his price is cheap, obviously. That's why we're saying this. Right now, 5.6K. The ownership, though, is really interesting for me because he's going to be what? Let me refresh this.
Currently, he's number 1.
Really?
Is he number 1?
On Roto Grinders, he's number 1 at 20%.
Wow.
When did you check that? 10 minutes ago? Because I just refreshed this and 14th today. Oh, 6. Oh. All right, well, if he's number 1, that's why.
Yeah.
But 5.6K. There's only stacked this week, and he's definitely gonna be one of those guys you want to have as one-off. Though you're not gonna want to stack that again. He's gonna be a one-off play. The guys get effective to target. Herbert doesn't have anybody else to throw to. Joshua Palmer, he's not a thing.
Offense.
He is the offense, and Dobbins. Yeah, cool. He's gonna get a touches, but he's not gonna get catches or anything like that. I mean, can you even name the tight end of the Chargers?
Yeah, Will Dissly.
Oh, good job. Good job. You can, but nobody else can.
Yeah.
I do like Will Dissly, though, but I didn't want to put him on the sheet. But Lad McConkey, I think this guy is very talented. He's probably he's definitely the best wide receiver there.
Sure.
5.6K.
I like it. Last with Conkey, I kept wondering why he was so highly owned. And I asked my friend in one of my DFS chats, what's the love for McConkey? And then he had that ridiculous catch and run, and I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Yes.
Oh, he's just good, man.
Yeah, the only thing I will add to that is Browns are number 1 in pressure rate in the NFL. He sees a 55% first read target share against pressure. It's it's the
the quick.
Oh, yeah, find Lad McConkey and just let it out.
Yep, love it. All right, we also have Calvin Ridley on the sheet as well. I want to make sure we mention Calvin Ridley. Let's move down to the defenses.
Defense.
All right, Tim, take it away here.
Well, we talked about Jameis, and last week it didn't quite work out. He tried to throw Hamilton a pick. He just flat dropped it. Right. This week, I expect the Chargers to put a little bit more on Jameis. And so I'm going to, if you can pay up this week, you can play the Chargers at 3,300. But I'm probably going to be most exposed to the Bills at 3K. They averaged 15 points per game last year against the Dolphins. It's just a bad schematic matchup for Tua. So at 3K, I think they are just simply too cheap. And then if you just full punt, it's the Giants.
Yeah, I had the Giants on my list as well. And can you believe that right now the team lead for sacks is the New York
The
Giants?
Giants.
They have the most sacks in the NFL right now, so that's pretty crazy. So we talk about all the time with defenses. You want sacks and turnovers. Well, with the Giants, you're going to get the sacks at least. I don't know if you'll get the turnovers, but at 2.3, you get a couple sacks. I mean, they have a game I think with 7 or 8 sacks. So I mean, you get those at 2 points per sack. You're going to hit your value right there in sacks alone. So I like the Giants at 2.3.
Yeah.
Gerson, you got anybody else you want to mention?
Well, I only had the Denver Broncos, but it's because they've been a good defense. But they do face the Baltimore Ravens. Obviously, one of the best offenses in the league. But it's just for the price. I didn't really look at the Giants too much, but the Giants are actually a pretty good play. I think I'm going to the Eagles though.
Yeah,
3.1K.
Yeah.
I don't think people have seen this, but within the last 4 weeks, that secondary gone a lot better.
Yeah.
Quinyon Mitchell, he's a baller. He's been shutting down every wide receiver he faced by snap. By snap, by the way. I'm not saying I know that their defensive secondary had struggles, but it just. But what I'm saying you have you have cornerbacks like AJ Terrell.
Yeah.
The best cornerbacks in the league, just shutting down wide receiver. Christian Gonzalez, Sauce Gardner, and I think, Quinyon Mitchell is gonna get up there. It's just that Philadelphia defense, they put pressure on the team. But 3.1K, I think the Eagles are very contrarian to me. I don't know their ownership though, so I could be wrong.
Can we talk about some people saw him as the number 1 corner in the draft and he fell to Philly at 22?
Yeah.
I feel like that happens to them in Baltimore every year.
Yep.
They just stand pat at their pick and the best players just fall.
Hey man, it's always Baltimore.
Yeah, Philly,
Eagles, and the Cowboys. The Cowboys always get lucky too.
I was just saying it used to be the Steelers, but now
Yeah.
But I agree. I think, and plus Trevor Lawrence has shown that when he doesn't have his weapons, he will just throw the ball to the other team instead. So.
Yeah, exactly. All right, let's get to our stacks.
Going4two.com's weekly stack report.
All right, Tim, you've already kind of given yours away, but go ahead and give us your stack.
Yeah, big shocker here. It's going to be Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, and running it back with Evan Ingram.
Yeah, I like that one a lot. That one was that's basically what I had last week with the Hurts and AJB, but unfortunately AJB wasn't the one I needed to have. But I like that. Gerson, what do you have for yours?
Oh, sorry. You don't need Scooby Doo to solve this mystery, nor do you need Blue's Clue to give you a hint. Dak Prescott, Lamb, London, and Ferguson. I know it's expensive, but all night I've been giving you a hint. The true sheep running back, the sheep tight end. Just fight. I guarantee the Olave. I guarantee you can make a pretty good roster out of that.
Yep.
Yeah, I like it. Mine's also not any kind of mystery. I've been talking about him, since the very first position. Daniel Jones at quarterback with Malik Neighbors, bringing it back with Terry McLaurin. This game has got a low total, but I do see them. Some points are very condensed. Targets are very condensed on these two teams. If you're playing Daniel Jones, you're stacking him with Malik Neighbors. If you're playing Jaden Daniels, you're stacking him with Terry McLaurin. Very amount of targets there. So either way you go, you're going to be picking those receivers. So yeah, I like this stack a lot. All right, let's get to the sick call.
And now, the sick call of the week.
I mentioned at the top that I am actually sick, so I'm hoping that helps me break my streak here. I have still not hit a sick call all week. But Tim, you actually hit a sick call last week, so
I did.
Here.
Yeah, so Khalif Raymond not only ran a punt return back, but then he went ahead and got a receiving touchdown too. So for those, pull back the curtain a little bit. I usually fill out the sheet on Wednesday or Thursday. At that point, we did not know if T. Higgins was going to play. He is now doubtful. The big boost last week was not to Yoshi Voss. It was to Mike Gesicki. So I am going to go back to Mike Gesicki this week at 3,100 against the Raiders. They do give up a decent amount of points to the tight end. And all of my other pieces that I want to fit in on this slate somehow magically fit in perfectly with 3,100 at tight end. So Gerson said, how did you know Will Dissly? Well, because today Will Dissly was my placeholder. He got X'd out and replaced with Mike Gesicki.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Gerson, what you got for your sick call this week?
Yeah, so my sick call, obviously, we always want to target the Panthers, right? Ah, for sure. So there's Alvin Kamara. Well, Kendrick Miller ain't playing. None of the other running backs matter. And then,
Either he's hurt too.
yeah, I mean, what about that BYU quarterback? What was his name? Taysom Hill? Or was he a running back? Or was he a tight end? How about we just say he plays every position, you know? Yeah, Taysom Hill, 3.8K. I'm gonna have exposure to him, but very limited. Obviously, it's a sick call, but I actually think he's in play. I think not Sean Payton. Dennis Allen and the offense is gonna realize that they don't have a lot of weapons out there. They got Olave and Taysom Hill, basically. And Kamara, obviously. But they're gonna have three weapons. They're gonna just ride them, and that's the thing though. Like Taysom Hill is just a sick call. Don't be like having overexposed on him. But 3.8K. I mean, I'm praying to Jesus like he is as a BYU standard.
All right. So my sick call when I was looking to see who I was going to play, looking at running backs even before I looked at my sick call, I sorted DVP at running back position, and the number one was the Carolina Panthers. They were the worst. Number two on the slate was the New England Patriots, and I originally put Tony Pollard on my sheet, and then I read the note saying that he hasn't practiced all week. And there's a good chance that he does not play. Tajay Spears has also already been ruled out. So the only guy they have on their roster currently listed as running back is Julius Chestnut at $4,000. If they go into the weekend with only him, I could see him getting some good work. He limited sample size, has had some decent runs in the last game, filling in. So I think at $4,000 at a running back, if you really, really wanted to punt. And I also wanted to kind of break the mold because if you look at my first 8 weeks, they're all wide receivers. So I was like, let me break the mold and see if I can get a running back here with my sick call. So at 4K, Julius Chestnut, if he's the only show in town, I don't expect huge numbers from him, but he should be able to pay off his salary if he's the only running back they have there. So that's my guy this week. All right, fellas, that wraps the podcast up. I want to thank you both for joining me. I want to thank everybody in the chat. Jamie coming in late here, joining the chat as well. Appreciate you coming in. Let's go around the room real quick, fellas, and give us your Twitter handle and plug the Facebook group. We'll go to you first, Tim.
Yeah, so I had to run it back. Price is Right one more time. You can find me on Twitter at KetoDFS and then on Facebook in the DFS Roundtable group.
Good stuff. Gerson.
Yeah, you can make Fantasy DFS and on the Facebook group. Honestly, every Friday is my favorite time, man. Thanks for coming out, guys, and being on the chat and everything. And honestly, it's always a great time here. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
Good stuff. As always, find me on Twitter at Geoff Lambert77. I made it to the show with my voice not breaking up too much, so that's good. No coughing either, so maybe I'm finally getting over the hump here. But thank you once again, everybody, for joining us tonight. Tim will not be with us. Tim, that way. He will not be with us next week. Because why, Tim? Why won't you be here?
I will be getting married next Friday. That is correct. In Hawaii.
He will be in Hawaii. We try to get him to go live in Hawaii, but it's not going to happen.
It was vetoed by the fiance. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't blame her.
I will be walking home from Hawaii if I bring my laptop with me.
You'll be swimming home, homie. You'll be walking home. You'll be swimming home.
That's exactly right.
So the next time
I'll be walking around the airport trying to get enough money to get home.
Congratulations, Tim.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Let's put one up for Tim.
Let me get my fruit punch out here.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
All right. For Tim, for Gerson, I'm Geoff, and we will see Gerson next week. We'll see Tim in 2 weeks.
Go, Pack, go!